originally I had a more lengthy intro, but honestly, after getting footage of this game on my own, I feel like this game doesn't deserve it. So yeah, remember how in the last video I said towards the end that I liked Help Wanted? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that shit was a lie. Wanna know why? Because this game was gaslighting me. I did my first playthrough a while back, and good lord, I remember it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I have no idea what happened. It might be because I played in different versions, and what you're seeing right now is the Christmas edition. Don't ask me how I ended up with the Christmas edition, ask Steam Rip. Just in general, I really dig the concept behind this game, and I do think at times it can be fun, but I cannot stress you how much shit I missed on my first playthrough. I'm telling you, this game lied to me. Also, the promotional material surrounding this game, and really just in general, it was weird. Remember Nightmare Fredbear? Well, they brownwashed him. They also used a fan render of Spring Bonnie in the cover art when this dude is nowhere to be found. Also, Night 2 of FNAF 2 had a weird ass thumbnail. Never mind the fact that the Foxy model was from FNAF 1. That shit was also a fan render. So right off the bat, Steelwool Studios, the company who made every FNAF game going forward, did not make a good first impression, but surely their game must be good, right? Anyways, since this is a VR game, I did not play it in VR. That's because I don't own a VR headset, because those things are too expensive. So if you take offense to the fact that I didn't play the game the way God intended it, I don't care. Not like the VR version was any better according to my friend. Alright, so we have 40 minigames scattered across a bunch of segments, and I'm going to do the thing I'm good at, reviewing them. So let's get started with FNAF 1. FNAF 1 as well as FNAF 2 and 3 have been recreated in 3D. Honestly, I think they did a solid job so far with FNAF 1. At times, I noticed the unease that the original game had, and it felt magical in a way to experience that in a brand new FNAF game. So there's this thing called the Blacklight levels where Night 5 resides, and in general, the harder versions of the regular minigames reside. Yeah, if you want to play Night 5, then you have to activate hard mode. The nights are shorter than the original, which does mean that most of the time you will never ever run out of power if you know what you're doing. I find it fascinating that I can see Bonnie and Chica walking the cameras, and even by your door. That slow turn there too is really creepy. I love it. Foxy also received a new sound effect when he comes to bang on your door. I really like this. It's much more unnerving compared to the original. However, I have to say, what the fuck is up with Foxy dashing from my door the second the camera glitches instead of letting me check the camera for it? It happened constantly, and every time it caught me off guard purely because I don't expect that to happen. Night 5 is part of the Blacklight levels of this game. Everything here is grey, noir style, and the game at times will fuck with you by messing around the buttons for the doors and lights. A pretty inconsequential feature in my opinion. It doesn't end up doing much, and most of the time you're safe whenever that happens. Also, Freddy would just not leave the second he gets at your door. I remember he was capable of eventually leaving your door. He doesn't do that here. So once he's at the door, then that's it. You have to keep that door shut for the remainder of the night. Also, this version is way darker. You can't see a whole lot on the cameras, and it's a shame because while the original was also, dark, it was also well illuminated, so they dropped the ball in this instance. Overall, FNAF 1 had the least amount of issues, and I think they did a good job recreating it for this game. It also keeps the spirit of the original in check. FNAF 2 is somehow even worse than the original. Every bad thing about that game has been carried over as well. I hate the fact that I have to listen to the music box theme the whole night. And why the hell does the music box wind up so slowly in this version? And what the hell is this? So you die if you play the way it is supposed to be played. Wow. It certainly doesn't make this more obnoxious than ever. Just like in FNAF, you can see the animatronics walk, which is cool, except they kinda disappear randomly, which makes it a bit jarring. Some animatronics, for example Mangle, can walk in your office from the hallway, which is pretty cool. The light buttons in FNAF 2 are a massive issue. I don't like that I have to hover my mouse to the respective buttons in order to use the lights. In VR, I think it was as easy as just juggling through them. You could have recreated this thing pretty easily. Just let us use keyboard controls for the goddamn things. Just like that. It makes this game more bearable. I mean, it's not like you're using the camera for anything other than winding up the music box. But also the fact that I can have two lights shining at the same time is just such a useful exploit that makes it seem like it was intentional. It wasn't. Hey, remember the Wither animatronics? Yeah. They weren't here from the beginning. Instead, they got added in an update alongside a special level dedicated to them. What? Ah, yes, the Wither animatronics. Visually the most interesting looking characters in this franchise were not in this recreation until the game got updated. I mean, you already spent a lot of time putting this game together, presumably. I'm sure you could have had some time to model and program the Wither animatronics in. Delay the game even if you don't have the time. That's what you should have done for one of your games, but you know, that's just a thought. Even with the Wither Night, the Night 6 phone call doesn't play. You left out the best phone call in the history of history because... You know what's really stupid? So because the Wither animatronics weren't here since beginning, that means that instead of Wither Foxy, they used a regular Foxy, even though that makes no sense. Also, they have done nothing with Night 5 except add the Blacklight filter on. Kinda lame if you ask me. Listen, I did say that the button messing in FNAF 1 was kinda meaningless, but at least it was something to spice it up. Here we have nothing! FNAF 3 is worse than the original as well. The main gameplay change is you have the normal cameras and vent cameras here at the same time. So if you want to check the vents, just look at the monitor made for those particular cameras. The Phantom animatronics can also jump scare you through the vent cameras, which makes the player to be wary of everything. However, the problem is the game might change you accidentally to the vent cameras and you get a random ass jump scare from Phantom Mingo. It's so annoying. I don't know why for the life of me does Springtrap have the ability to spawn in any camera. I'm not kidding. On paper, it seems like a pretty inconsequential feature. In practice, it makes it a bit more obnoxious to play considering you have to book it to find this random pile of tomato sauce, and pray to the Lord he doesn't spawn in cam too. Is this why my runs seem to end sooner than I expected? Also, not every Phantom animatronic is here. Phantom Puppet and Phantom Chica. I can maybe understand Phantom Puppet not being here, but why the hell is Phantom Chica not here? What's so radically different about her that they couldn't program her in? I think the best part about this is Night 5 where everything is on fire, which is any nod to FNAF 3's ending newspaper. Doing my night guarding duties while everything is burning is very badass in my opinion. And it also makes it a bit more intense than usual, especially since the animatronics are more aggressive. I mean, it would be badass, but I made my game look like crap so much that there's like no fire, so I'm not dying in a fire, unfortunately. Oh yeah, let's not forget the fact that Springtrap actually looks like puke. One of the best designs alongside the Wither animatronics, and this is the best they could have done. His jump scare is also lazily animated. Also, the jump scares for the Phantoms are also kinda ass. Now on to Dark Rooms. This set of minigames are pretty different one way or another, but the common ground is that the gameplay takes place in a dark room. And I think Plushtrap being the first one on the line was a great idea. Thinking a classic segment of FNAF 4, but now it is in 3D. I seem to be just as good at this one as I was on the original one. Not much to say here other than good job. Nightmare BB's level is like the same as Plushtrap, but at least he's quicker than him. Plush Baby can go fuck itself. Actually the worst level in this entire game. I got whiplash from the sudden increase in difficulty. I have seen many people complain about this one, and rightly so. There's many places these things can spawn, and it's really annoying when you're scouring the room and you just so happen to miss one of these little fuckers. In fact, you know what? Let me tell you a secret, but you guys didn't hear this from me. You can skip levels to completion by pressing Alt plus Shift plus U, combination on PC. You can thank me later. Lastly, we have Funtime Foxy. Duh, dude, you started this set on a strong note and then you fucked it up so badly by inventing that dumbass monstrosity. But anyways, Funtime Foxy is Funtime Foxy. It's that same exact segment from Sister Location, but in a 3-dimensional space. I wasn't a huge fan of it, and I have nothing else to add for this version right here. And while we are at it, let's quickly go over the Blacklight levels for this, because they are the most mid so far. Plushtrap just makes you smaller for whatever reason. Same thing with Nightmare BB, except there are also giant ass balloons that eventually will obstruct your view in a not so fun way, like when I try to watch TV, except my girlfriend's giant ass balloons are right into my face. Like, I wanna watch Scooby-Doo. Every plushie from Plush Baby is now a Plush Baby. Riveting. Also, the plush enemies you have to watch out for now resemble Scrap Baby. She's a nice touch. But besides that, yeah, this is dog shit. Lastly, Funtime Foxy is no longer Funtime Foxy because he has been inhaling his LOLs as of late. Lullaby takes the center stage for this one, which is cool. But like, guys, come on. I could tell these icons look the exact same. And also, I'm pretty sure that's not exactly lolbit. Parts and Surfaces is a fun one conceptually. You're tasked with repairing animatronics and risk death to do silly mistakes. I like how each character's minigame revolves around an idea of said character. For example, in Bonnie's level, you have to fix Bonnie's guitar. In Chico's level, you have to clean her of pizza and cockroaches. You're gonna get rewarded with pizza if you do so. In Freddy's level, you have to get the items stuck in him out. I have no idea how this particular one ended in here, so I'm gonna assume this bear ate someone. Honestly, you're not doing a whole lot of parting and servicing here, which is why in Foxy's level, you actually are working to fix him. Maybe not permanently, but temporarily. It's not particularly difficult, but it is extremely engaging compared to the rest of the minigames. This segment solidified the fact that my friends are bad at these ones in particular, since they didn't seem to have a smooth time playing these games. Meanwhile, when I was getting footage, everything was fine, except for this one. Check this shit out. I have Foxy's eye right here and I try to put it in, but it doesn't work. Same thing happens in the Blacklight levels. I don't know what the fuck is the problem, but it sucks. Speaking of Blacklight levels, it saddens me to report that the Blacklight levels for Parts and Services are even worse than Dark Rooms. I'm deadass. I think they did not even change Bonnie in any special way other than to slap a filter on it and play random music that isn't even intrusive. Chica is literally the exact same shit, except they just made it more grotesque, I suppose, by adding big ass cockroaches in the background that don't even impact this one in any meaningful way. Freddy is also mostly the same, I think. At least aesthetically it looks different compared to Bonnie and Chica, which were just black and purple. Lastly, Foxy is now burned and has this fire effect surrounding him, which is really cool. I thought the gameplay was on crack, but aka bad, but really it wasn't that bad. The problem is that it changes colors and you have to pay attention to the original colors the fuses have. It really wasn't as bad as I used to think, but I still can't put the eye in! Van Repair. No notes on Van Repair. Good job for being good. Mangle is a simple one where you have to look around and do a bunch of stuff. Flip some switches and then leave. I like how there is no music and no ambiance, just the sounds of Mangle crawling through the vents, which is eerie. Another is on a similar level but has more going for it. These buttons that you have to press in order while being on a time limit for the last one, using gears to activate conveyor belts and to get all the missing pieces for this side, and lastly to sort these pipes in the right order. There's lots of variety that is being displayed here. Blacklight levels are doing something different. For Mangle, all the doors are open simultaneously and you have to deal with a shadow version of Mangle alongside the actual Mangle. Enhard has Springtrap show up here, but otherwise it's quite the exact same thing. The only difference is the amount of characters plastered everywhere. You also get Jumpscare at the end and die. Apparently it's upside down in VR and was supposed to do something in flat mode exclusively, but I think it's just an error in the system and it just never did anything. I played it normally. Finally, we arrive at the last set of minigames, Night Terrors. FNAF 4 is recreated here in a weird way, to say the least. You're not playing FNAF 4 now without the nightmare animatronics. In fact, you're playing a regular FNAF 4 only once. Funtime Freddy provides the only time you're going to be playing FNAF 4 the way you normally do. There are distractions in the form of Bonbon and Bonnet, which they don't end up doing much. Funtime Freddy worked in a weird way at times. And sometimes the second I heard him breathing, he killed me instantly. What's up with that? Next up is Nightmarian, which means I guess you still face off some nightmare animatronics in this setting. You will spice up a little bit. Not only do you have to check the doors for any sign of puppetry, you also have to watch out for the tentacles in the room. Nightmare, what are you doing with those tentacles with that poor kid, you sick fuck? I like this one, okay. Also, you have to listen to the freaking music box theme for the donation. Again? Listen, at least this one's not as long as the FNAF 2 nights, but it still gets grating after a while. Also, oh my god, I cannot believe someone approved Circus Baby the way it is. No wonder this is the shortest night in the game. This shit is boring. I legitimately don't find this interesting in the slightest. This is really bad, and when it couldn't get worse, this happens. Yep, shit glitch, so that means I sat there doing nothing for the rest of the night. Cool, no gameplay for you. Also, I swear I closed the closet at the right time here. And I still died! Lastly, you have the big man himself, Nightmare Fredbear, with his bright yellow skin metal. Just like how I imagined him to be. Nothing bad actually happened. I have been confused a bunch of times whether he was in the closet or not, but he was never ever in the closet, so why would you bother to check it when he laughs? Also, I died a bunch of times here to the natural selection or something, I don't know. Before I talk about the final minigame, I just want to mention how cool of a name Night Terrors is. Night Terrors is a reference to a sleep disorder that causes feelings of terror or dread while asleep, as it includes episodes of screaming, intense fear, and flailing. Very fitting because this takes place in the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 bedroom. So unlike every other set, the Blacklight level for Night Terrors is called Pizza Party. Yes, the Night Terrors levels don't get their own Blacklight counterpart. Instead, Steel will update to just making one final minigame. Pizza Party is a maze with a preset path. The way to get there might be a tad bit confusing, but it's fine. I really don't have much to say here. It's not bad, but I wouldn't say it's good. But I think it's a fitting ending, that's it. So there we go, we reviewed every minigame in this game. Let's rapid fire some stuff, shall we? My biggest pet peeve with this game, that I haven't seen anyone mention this at all, are the jump scares. Specifically the jump scare sound effects. For example, here's Foxy's jump scare. Why does he have Bloodstrap's jump scare? How in the mother loving name of Gotham did they fuck this up? It's not just Foxy. No. Funtime Foxy somehow ended up with a FNAF 4 jump scare. Which is bizarre because NR has a jump scare that's from sister location. Well, his jump scare sound changed as well. It's basically Phantom Foxy's one, which begs this question: why didn't they use that very same sound effect for Phantom Foxy if they did have the one? Circus Baby suddenly ended up with the FNAF 1 jump scare for whatever arbitrary reason, which is weird because if you just don't do anything and get jump scare normally, she has the normal jump scare. I mean, Circus Baby never had a jump scare, but like, the sister location's sound effect is fitting because she is from sister location, so her having the FNAF 1 jump scare is just god awful weird. Funtime Freddy also has the FNAF 4 jump scare. Like, why? I just don't understand! This is such a non-issue that has no business existing, and yet it does. It irked the shit out of me whenever I heard the wrong jump scare soundbite from the characters I just mentioned. Flat mode in Help Wanted has this very fun bug where if you go to the settings to try to customize your experience to your liking, or to just, try to get your game to run a smidge better, then you have better chances of becoming a prostitute than to actually do something in this garbo. Simply put, the settings in this game might as well not even exist. They don't do anything. You can change your resolution, you can adjust the brightness, you can make your game look like toast, you can adjust your mouse sensitivity, you can do shit with it. Which is weird because based on my research, the settings used to work, but due to a bug, it didn't. So they had to take them out and they never put it back. Why? So like the only way to make your game look like shit is to go into the game files for like a specific folder and then this specific file and then only mess around with the SG lines here or some shit. Well, there we go, you're officially a programmer. The controls are also poorly communicated in recent builds of this game, which blows my mind. So I played it on an older version and it mentioned a bunch of things here, so I wonder why still will remove them. I'm truly baffled by how poorly the mouse functions, as half the time your clicks don't even register. I distinctly remember in FNAF 1 I had to practically spam my mouse in order to close the doors, which is really annoying when other times I close the doors first try, and also the Foxy's Eye thing in parts and service. Also this is just, when I was getting footage, the game would just put me out of full screen for no reason other than just make it go on window mode, and it really fucked me up because why? It also fucked up the footage at times because it just decided to not be in full screen anymore. I don't know why it goes out of full screen, it just does that. Why does it do that? Fuck, I don't know. The Blacklight levels have nothing else to their name other than being the hard mode of said levels and having a funky filter that totally doesn't get annoying to look at after 30 seconds. There are barely standout Blacklight levels, that's crazy. It is extremely idiotic that most of the coin collectibles in this game involve you doing random shit that gets you killed. For example, just get the puppet to kill you in order to get the coin. No biggie. Who does that? Man, this specific tape when the game plays the opening stuff is very evil, because if you don't know you can actually revisit the sequence, most people wouldn't know where the last tape would be. And especially they wouldn't suspect it would be here. I feel like some of the coins and tapes are a little too well hidden. Speaking of tapes, let's talk about the story of this game because I find it pretty dumb. First off, the game in canon was released in order to hide the bad press concerning the facing stories spread by some complete lunatic.
Hey all, Scott here, and damn it, I own Sonic Jam!
These stories have, according to Hand Unit, been reformatted to be funny and distributed for entertainment. Sure. The tape room is the room that gives us more info about this whole ordeal. We have 16 tapes, however many of them have nothing important to say. Seriously, many tapes have this dumbass tester to talk about dumb shit no one cares about and instead proceeds to waste our time with shit like, have you ever heard of a guillotine paper slicer? Or, you can always tell when a company is about to fire someone, then proceed to explain the steps in getting fired. Just get to the point! The fact that we have moments like these, especially considering that tape code wants these logs to not occupy a lot of space, then maybe just stop wasting your time time talking about meaningless shit and get to the point. Like, the story is just whatever. Tape Girl did end up saying some important things, but the fact that she practically yaps for 16 logs straight is a little bit jarring. Also, I'm not sure how she came to the conclusion regarding her little plan against the anomaly. In the end, I'm quite disappointed in the state that this game is in right now. 2019 still a war? This game has been out since 2019 and it is this bad? How the hell did you guys manage to do that? The lack of care in optimization and bug fixing is astounding to me, because this is the first time you did this and got away with it. Then you did it again. Next game and still got away with it. Security breach is still in a broken game that has plenty of bugs last time I heard. And the quality of life features they provide are a joke. I'm getting off topic, this is not a security breach review. Honestly, I would end the video right here, however we are not done. They did release a DLC. Yep. So they released a Halloween themed DLC called Curse of Dreadbear. I find this really cool considering they made an entire hub area which has a reference to FNAF 4. Overall, they captured the aesthetic quite well. I find it quite cute, really. Going over all the content this one provides, it was a fun 1 hour to say the least. I think this is just better than the base game, really. Although another nitpick of mine, but I don't like how helpy he looks here. I much prefer the way he was drawn in base game. Anyways, forget that. We have 3 sets of minigames to discuss, so let's get started with Afraid of the Dark. Afraid of the Dark features only 3 minigames: Pumpkin Patch, Pirate Ride, and Core Maze. Pumpkin Patch... Pirate Ride is surprisingly fun. I enjoyed this carnival roller coaster adventure. It doesn't really go crazy, but I have a gun that shoots balls, so yeah, this one's pretty good. This is a minigame where you can die, unfortunately, although it does test your reaction skills at this point in the ride. It is very replayable trying to go for the high score in this game. Core Maze is legitimately scary. While I was replaying this one, I got pretty spooked a couple of times. It's really well made is what I would have said if it was good. I don't like how often Green Foxy spawns near you, and it makes the pacing of this game slower than it would normally be. Also, getting all the keys in this game for the secret exit is stress inducing, which is good. At one point I think the game thought I was cheating or something, since it displayed a static screen for no reason. I thought I was done for, but I still ended up doing it. I was very tense at that juncture. At the end of the day, Core Maze is pretty darn good. Next up is Spooky Mansion, which I think dips in quality a little bit, starting with the creatively named minigame Hallway. It's pretty much the discount Funtime Foxy. On the sides, Nightmare Bonnie and Chica will appear, and if you're in their line of sight, then you're dead. Nightmare Foxy will randomly appear, and every time he does, you have to stop moving, which is really precise if I did have to say so myself. At one point, Nightmare Freddy will show up, slowly making his way towards you from behind. The minigame is fine, nothing fancy, but it does utilize its setting pretty well. Each animatronic has a distinct enough role to the point that each of them can actually contribute to your own downfall. Yeah, it is possible to get one-ball combo to this one. Although at times, this one can be pretty bullshit due to how much the game makes you wait until you're safe to traverse, because you're on a time limit as well. Maybe I didn't play this properly or something, but I didn't like this one. Build a Mangle is fun until it's not. So you have these monitors and 2 conveyor belts beside you. The monitors will display the pieces you have to grab and drop into the machine. The problem is the monitors will change to a different piece, meaning it is very easy to forget that the pieces that you need is about to be burned down because you forgot. This level's biggest problem is that there's so much visual information that can overwhelm you pretty easily. At least you don't have to get everything right, since the game is very lenient, but it's still gonna be very bullshit at times. Trick or Treat is fine. You're supposed to pay attention to the activity happening inside the house and predict who is going to answer the door. Oh no, I think this one is boring. I didn't like it, and I'm speaking as someone who did this first try. Lastly, Dreadbear. This one is pretty cool. This is one big reference to Frankenstein. It reminds me of Parts and Services, except much more complex than before. I don't know, I guess I like fixing up animatronics. I should be an engineer for Fazbear Entertainment. Hopefully nothing bad will happen. Although I will say there is some jank in this one due to the controls being a bit of an afterthought, since there's so much stuff to look at and interact with. But I don't think anything tops Danger Keep Out. This is my favorite set of levels in the entire game. It's basically FNAF 1, but with an interesting twist. Your doors boarded up, meaning that closing the doors is not an option. If there is an animatronic there, then get ready to flash them to set them back, otherwise they will slowly break the boards. You have a limited amount of flashes you could do, and at one point you have to reset the power in order to get those flashes back, just sitting there in silence. Anxiety is building up as you start wishing for the power to be reset already. I love this! I honestly can't believe that Steel came up with this type of gameplay loop, and what's even more criminal is that this has never came back in any capacity, or at least something similar. This is crazy! Danger Keep Out cemented itself as my favorite thing from Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm pretty sure there's like 0 bugs as well, making this the most polished experience you will ever have while playing FNAF. All the nights in this mode are bangers, and it really enforces the survival horror aspect of this franchise to its fullest potential. Great stuff! There's also this secret involving you getting all the tapes to obtain the glitch trap plushie in the base game, and then doing the secret from Core Maze will grant you this mask. Many people thought that this mask was foreshadowing Steelwool's next game, and in some ways I suppose that's true. However, the villain in the next game does have an eerily similar mask, but still completely different compared to Help Wanted. And that wouldn't be an issue, most likely it got redesigned. However, we see this specific mask back in the DLC for the next game. So which is it? Was this foreshadowing for your next game, or the DLC for your next game? Which, funny enough when you think about it, the DLC for this game foreshadowed the next DLC for another game. I don't know why that sounded funny and odd in my head. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Glitch Trap. He exists, I suppose. And that's it! Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted was the first VR game in the franchise and would go on to receive a sequel 5 years later, after we suffered the wrath of the breach. Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted is playable, but it's in a state that just makes me sad. I don't get why the game still has bugs to this day. Help Wanted has quite a lot of content that is both perplexing and enjoyable. And after all this adventure, I'm stopping here. Security Breach is a game that I'm not ready to play yet. First of all, I have a weak laptop that got a minor upgrade recently, but not enough to play games like Security Breach. I'm also not mentally prepared to play this, considering this game is still not in a good state. So for now, the FNAF reviews are stopping here. Next year, I'm gonna dip into mystery games and share my fair share of controversial opinions. So if you guys want me to cover the rest of FNAF, then make sure to support these videos so I can get better hardware in the future and also pay for my therapy. As for game review, the next 2 entries are gonna be some pretty big games that I have thoroughly enjoyed, so I hope you look out for them. Until then, have a nice day!